The mansion stood quiet that morning, its grand halls echoing with loneliness that marble and gold could never cover. Outside, the city roared with life, but inside Alexander Grant's estate, silence weighed heavy until it was broken by the soft, desperate cries of a baby. Sophie, just 8 months old, lay in her crib with tear-stained cheeks. Her cries weren't the ordinary fussing of a hungry infant. They were sharp, pleading sobs that cut through the emptiness of the house. The nanny, who usually cared for her, had called in sick at the last minute. Alexander, a millionaire businessman, was away in back-to-back meetings, unaware of the storm brewing inside his own home. It was Maria, the cleaning lady, who first heard the baby's cries. She had been dusting the bookshelves in the study when the sound reached her ears. She froze, torn between duty and instinct. She wasn't hired to touch the baby. Her role was to polish, sweep, and disappear without being noticed. But something in Sophie's cries pierced through the wall Maria had built around her heart. She hurried upstairs, finding the child writhing in discomfort, her diaper soaked, her tiny hands trembling. Maria hesitated. She could wait for instructions, but how long would that take? Sophie's cries grew more urgent. Her face flushed. Maria felt a pang deep in her chest, a memory of her own little boy, Thomas, long gone. Without thinking further, she scooped Sophie into her arms. The baby quieted for a moment, pressing her tiny face into Maria's shoulder. Maria whispered softly, "Chill, little one. I've got you." But soon she realized Sophie needed more than comfort. Her diaper needed changing, and her little body was sticky with dried milk and sweat. There was no baby bathtub in sight, no special soap. Maria looked around in desperation until her eyes landed on the kitchen sink. It would have to do. She filled it with warm water, testing the temperature carefully against her wrist, just as her grandmother had taught her. She rolled up her sleeves, humming a lullaby in Spanish, and lowered Sophie gently into the water. The baby blinked in surprise and giggled, a sound so pure it seemed to light up the entire kitchen. Her tiny hands splashed against the water as Maria supported her carefully, washing away the discomfort with steady, tender hands. Maria's heart ached as she hummed. Bathing Sophie felt like cradling her own lost child again, just for a moment. She didn't hear the door open. She didn't notice the footsteps down the hallway. She didn't see Alexander Grant, still in his navy suit, standing frozen at the doorway of the kitchen. He had come home unexpectedly after a canceled meeting, intending to check on his daughter. What he found instead stopped him cold. There was Maria, the woman he had barely noticed in his house, bathing his baby in the sink. Sophie was laughing, her tiny arms reaching up to Maria as though she belonged to her. For a moment, Alexander felt something stir inside him, something he had buried deep since the night his wife died giving birth. He had built walls of work and wealth around his grief, leaving Sophie in the hands of strangers, too afraid to hold her himself. But here she was, radiant with joy, safe in the arms of someone who cared. Maria finally noticed him. Her face paled. She stood frozen, afraid she had crossed an unforgivable line. "Mr. Grant, I'm so sorry." She was crying, and there was no one. Alexander raised a hand, silencing her. His voice, usually sharp and commanding, came out softer than he intended. "Don't stop." Maria blinked in disbelief. He stepped closer, watching as Maria rinsed Sophie's soft hair, murmuring gently, "There you go, little one, warm and safe." Alexander realized something that shook him to his core. He had never once bathed his own daughter. He had never even tried. He had let grief rob him of moments like these, moments of laughter and warmth. Over the next weeks, something shifted in the Grant household. Alexander began spending more time at home. He started watching Maria with Sophie, learning the little details, a slight rocking motion that calmed her, the way Sophie loved the water slightly warmer than most babies, the silly faces that made her laugh. One evening, Maria shyly offered, "Would you like to help?" At first, Alexander's hands were clumsy, awkward as he held his daughter in the water. But Sophie's delighted giggles pushed him forward. Slowly, the wall between father and daughter began to crumble. Maria became more than a cleaning lady. She was a guide. showing Alexander how to be a father, how to listen, how to love. And with every passing day, he grew more grateful. But it wasn't until a stormy night that the depth of her importance truly revealed itself. Sophie woke with a high fever, her small body burning. Alexander panicked, pacing the room, calling the doctor, his hands trembling. But Maria remained calm. She placed cool cloths on Sophie's forehead, humming that same lullaby, rocking her through the night until the fever broke. Alexander sat in the corner, watching with tears in his eyes. He realized he had never seen such devotion, not from the nannies, not from anyone, not even from himself. When morning came, he turned to Maria, his voice thick. "I don't know how to thank you." She shook her head. "You don't need to thank me. She's a child. She needs love. That's all." But Alexander knew better. This woman had given his daughter more than love. She had given her safety, warmth, and mother's touch in a house that had long been cold. From that day, Maria was no longer just an employee. Alexander insisted on increasing her salary, supporting her family back home, and making sure she never wanted for anything. Maria resisted at first, but Alexander's gratitude was unwavering. Years later, the kitchen sink, once just a place for dishes, became a sacred place of memory. Alexander often found himself there with Sophie, now a lively toddler, pouring cups of water and laughing. Maria would watch from the side, her eyes shining with quiet pride. The mansion was no longer silent. It was filled with laughter, lullabies, and second chances. And all of it had begun with one simple act of kindness. A cleaning lady who refused to let a baby cry alone. If this story touched your heart, remember, sometimes the smallest act of compassion can change not just one life, but many. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Tell us in the comments, have you ever seen a simple act of kindness transform someone's world?